Sorry for my shaky ass camera, and hopefully you guys can hear this. I don't know if you can. I'm on my way to Indiana. Anywho, I guess this is in one way, it's a response to something that Snedmeister said regarding, I think maybe the diplomacy video about Iran or something like that, that in the end you got to kind of like, whether you agree with what's happening or not, you have to kind of pick a side, you know. Like that old saying, my country right or wrong, but my country, you know. And that's, I understand that sentiment, you know. Like I guess if I was in Germany or something like that, just having been an ordinary German and not being a Nazi or anything like that, but when the Red Army starts rolling into town, you know, you might want to pick up that Panzerfaust and knock out a T-34 or whatever tanks were. I can't remember what it was. But you know what I'm saying? You know, you gotta pick a side, but it's like, even if the side is wrong, I have to pick a side. Because I come from like a Swedish background too. Like we were always neutral, and now of course we joined NATO and all that stuff. So in one way, with the whole Ukraine thing, it got to the point where like, well, we better start picking a freaking side here, because we probably won't last a week or a few days if Russia invades Sweden, you know. Although the Finns, you know, back in World War II, they really punched the shit out of the Russians. That's why the Finns weren't like, didn't become like a satellite state in the Cold War, because they fought so bravely and so hard against the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union realized you can't really manage the Finns because they are freaking crazy, you know. Like that movie Sisu, you know, they were all like that, you know. They all. If I had like a battalion of Finns, I could probably conquer the world. But yeah, you know, you got to pick a side, I suppose. And it also goes back to like the Peloponnesian War or whatever, with that Melian dialogue. That's a classic of international dialogue. I think there's the Athenians who were coming to the Melians, and they said, like, paraphrasing, you know, the Melians were like, oh, you know, we'll stay out of it, you know, we don't really pick a fight with anybody, we want to be neutral or whatever. And the Athenians were like, your neutrality is danger to us. You know, it's more dangerous to have a neutral person than kind of an enemy, because you don't know where they stand, kind of thing. So I suppose when you think about it that way, neutrality is dangerous if you don't pick a side. Sometimes it's better to know who your enemy is rather than not knowing, and also you want to know who your friends are. So I suppose if you look at it that way, yeah, that makes sense. But for my side, my side is not political. My side is just being a normal, decent human being, you know, taking care of other people. That's a side I'm on. I'm on the side of humanity, compassion, empathy, and if the end comes and I have to pick up a gun to defend that, then that's what I'll defend. You know, that's the hill I'm going to die on, is being standing up to bullies and bigots and fighting those people. That's my hill I'll die on. You know, other than that, I don't want war. I don't want to fight with people. I'd rather we trade with people and we try to find common ground and stuff like that. And I realize there are bad people out there, you know. There's bad people that committed crimes, horrible crimes, and they're in prison, you know. They should be in prison. But then there's people that got locked up for really not doing jack squat. You know, by some free strikes law, you know, for stealing a few loaves of bread to feed your kid or something like that, and then you get jailed and you're in jail for decades. Meanwhile, some billionaire can commit fraud and steal your grandpa's retirement that worked, 50 years years for, and he gets out paying some bribes or some shit, and that's what I hate too. And then I'm seeing all this fighting against fraud, all this, we gotta fight the fraud, and then at the same time, on the other hand, is freeing all these billionaires and millionaires that committed all kinds of heinous fraud worth millions and billions of dollars, and they get to go free, That's what the little people are angry about, So if we're gonna fight fraud, we should fight fraud and really fight fraud, Not doing this hypocrisy, which really gets my goat with hypocrisy between both political parties too, and both are guilty of that. And then they just go back and forth in the media, blaming each other, and nothing ever gets done. Once again, little people like us, we get shafted. So, yeah, picking sides, and yeah, with Lamb Dog too, what he was talking about being a man, not sharing stuff. I did that for a very long time until it ate me up, and I had to talk to people, and it helped. But I understand that, it's hard for a man to ask for any help, because what is that Chris Rock saying? Only women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally, and men are only loved by what they can provide or what purpose they can serve. And that's why it's so important for men to have a purpose, Men should have a purpose, whether it's to go to work and provide for your family, or serve your country, or be of service to other people. You have to have a purpose. Even people that are in recovery or dealing with some terrible things, trauma or whatever, once they find a purpose, that really makes a big difference, because that gives them some kind of hope. And hope is very important too. You need to have some kind of hope, whether that's spiritual hope or a purpose, doing something for other people, being a service to other people. Because I found that a lot when I'm having trouble dealing with my own things. If I just help other people, that helps deal with my own situation a lot, because I get out of myself and I get to see other people's problems. And sometimes I feel like, shit, I don't really have any problems compared to these people. These people are really out there suffering, and here I am complaining. Because I've got homeless veterans that didn't have running water in their house, didn't have electricity, stuff like that. And here I am complaining if the internet goes down for a few hours, or what have you, or what have you, So I understand that. It's difficult to be a man, because nobody wants to hear it. And also in relationships too, sometimes it's very hard, especially with women, because they tell you to open up, and then when you're open and vulnerable with them, they'll use it against you too. And that's not good. So you don't really know where to turn to or who to ask for help and stuff like that. So you really got to be careful with who you ask for help. But if nothing else, these video responses and us talking helps people too. Maybe it helps some other people. And it is good to share with other people. I think, at least. But, well, that's a little video for now. And like I said, this mount sucks, but it's better than nothing. See ya.